So, an artist has passed away. Maybe you knew them, maybe you didn't. Super sad for everyone involved. Whether they were big or small, emerging or superstar, it's always sad to hear. In this video, we're going to be talking about posthumous stuff and the crazy world around it. I found some really weird stuff. You're going to want to see it. Their family, friends, and fans grieving together, reminiscing on what impact the person had on them through their personality and their music. Unfortunately, in these last couple years, we've been seeing more and more people, and younger people, going out a lot sooner than they should, whether it's to gang violence or drug use or something else entirely. Every year, we're bound to lose some people, but it's really been getting out of hand recently, which really sucks. Everybody's sad. Except the record companies, because the record companies, no, they don't grieve with everyone else. They meet in their offices, look at each other and go, "Oh yeah boys, we got another one." Because when an artist passes away, to them, this opens up a bunch of new waves of opportunity to make some big bank. Yep, now we've entered the unofficial second phase in an artist's career, the posthumous phase. And yes, that is how you say it, which honestly, I don't think ever ends. As long as they own your stuff, you're gonna keep going. Labels using the news to push new music because it's basically hitting the lottery. Guaranteed sales and streams because people are curious. They want to know what's going on or just hear from someone recently not living because it's trippy. Or maybe you just want to hear the artist they love again, even in some form. But as long as the people know that name, even beyond the grave, the labels will continue to milk you dry until they find their next cow. But it's not all bad. Sometimes it's the person's estate which owns the music, usually run by family members or close friends. When that happens, it's usually up to the estate that gets to decide what happens to the music. And most of the time, they make the right decisions. Most of the time. We'll get to her in a bit. So in this video, we're going to be going over some posthumous stuff and maybe answer the question, are posthumous albums really good? Promise, there's some juicy stuff in here. So starting off, we'll explain how posthumous stuff works for someone who doesn't know. Trust me, that was me for a good couple years. Artists usually record dozens upon dozens of stuff and just have stuff sitting there in their music vaults. Sometimes it's just song drafts and demos, sometimes it's completely finished songs, you never really know. It all depends on the artist. But after the artist passes, all that music is just sitting there untouched, now preserved to time. The people who work with them now have this giant stash of vocals and tracks and have to decide what they're gonna do with it all. Juice WRLD was reported to have over 2,000 songs in his vault. And the dude only got to 21. Talk about dedicated. Pop Smoke was a young one too, a Brooklyn drill artist fusing drill beats with Americano raps. His style was really refreshing, and even though he used a lot of the same flows, he was still just getting his foot in the door. He would release 2 projects in his lifetime, Meet the Woo in 2019 and Meet the Woo 2 in 2020, both mixtapes. What I find funny is Dior is his most popular track, even when he was still here, but it was released all the way back on the first project, then as a bonus on the second, a remix on the second, and then finally again as a bonus on the album. That's that three-peat, baby. After his passing, one of his mentors, 50 Cent, would pick up the mantle and executive produce his debut album, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon, released on July 3rd of 2020. 50 would pull a bunch of strings for this guy, as he honestly really liked him, getting a couple well-known names for features such as DaBaby and Roddy Ricch, as well as some A-class producers, and jeez, look at that names list. You can write a book with this. Of course, this did numbers on the board, debuting at number 1 on the Billboard 200, joining the likes of XXX Tentacion, Tupac, and Biggie for having a number 1 posthumous album, and doing 200,000 sales in its first week. The album would go on to become one of the highest grossing albums of the year. Republic Records is swimming right now. The album was received fairly well from fans and critics too, but everyone's sharing the same sentiment that they wish he was here to actually see his success, you know? But granted, he wouldn't have even gotten this kind of buzz if he didn't pass, which is really sad. But moving on, I mentioned him earlier, but let's circle back a bit to a one Juice WRLD. Like I mentioned, his team said the dude had over 2,000 songs in his vault, just raring to go. After his passing, his team and friends put some of these songs together, touched them up, and created his next album, Legends Never Die, on his behalf. His team claiming it a love letter to the fans. Fans were happy with more Juice. The album received well, but some noting that obviously, some of the songs felt rushed and unfinished. The lyrics are what you'd expect from him, but in these songs, the dude's talking like he's already gone, which is really chilling. But although the fans were alright, Interscope was happy. Jeez, with these numbers, who even needs to promote anything? A collection of 22 tracks, a couple interludes, and a dream feature with The Weeknd. I'd say this was a pretty good send-off to the Chicago native. The album also debuted at number 1 too, joining the ranks of everyone mentioned earlier. It too was one of the highest grossing albums of the year. Guess Interscope was swimming too. But both Interscope and Republic are labels owned by Universal. So who's really winning here? Now we know about albums by artists not knowing when they're gonna go, but what about one from someone who does? Well, I guess not really a posthumous album, as it was released 2 days before his passing, but if you want to count it, look no further than Sir David Bowie and his 25th and final studio album Black Star, released on January 8th of 2016, an art rock, experimental rock symphony. This thing was being worked on pretty much during half of 2015. Bowie was suffering from liver cancer, but up until this point, the public didn't know. So him, knowing he didn't have much time left, decided to throw this together and really pull from places he's never really tapped into before, citing influences from Death Grips to Kendrick Lamar. This album touches a lot of places. The lyrics are dark too, dealing with depression, finding oneself, being lost in the world, impending doom, scared but also brave. Some really deep stuff. It's a little hard to make out sometimes as it's covered in all the imagery in the lyrics, but it's there, I promise. This was critically acclaimed all around too, and seemed fitting as a send-off for the rock legend. Good job, Spaceman. Now we know posthumous songs, even posthumous albums, but what about a posthumous show? Now, of course, you can't have a show if the artist is dead, right? They're not there. And you'd be right. I think so. Most people think so. But Bass Hologram Company didn't think so. Bass Hologram, a company dedicated to consistently making you go, what the fuck? This company specializes in hologram making, but it's not like Vocaloid over in Japan. No sir, here they bring your favorite North American artists back from the grave to perform your favorite songs. I definitely asked for this. They saw what Japan was doing and decided instead of making fake anime girls, we'll just get the real thing. Although not the team behind it, we first started getting a look at these with the Tupac hologram back in 2012. This was done by Digital Domain Media Group, a company known for the effects on the Transformers movies. This was making headlines as it was interesting to see for sure. But also, what the fuck? I can guarantee you Tupac never said what the fuck is up Coachella in his life. You know, Whitney Houston had a hologram tour last year, and yes, this was Bass Hologram. Yeah, even in death you can't stop working apparently. A tour using a Whitney Houston hologram to perform all the songs. Yeah, that's not weird. And yeah, this is what she looked like. It was supposed to run from March to October in 2020. People singing along and dances on stage, all doing their thing around this hologram. I remember learning about this middle of 2019, then completely forgot about it. They ended up doing a couple shows and reception was very mixed. People who went said they felt really creeped out by the whole thing and was just really unsettling. Gee, I can't imagine why. Can you tell I don't like this? This just screams money grab from the jump, and anyone who went to this, I apologize, because I know there was probably a couple people who went who just wanted to see Whitney again. Like, whose idea was this? Oh, it was a Houston Estates idea. Posthumous albums, sure, but posthumous concerts? Dude, I never thought I'd see the day. We're truly living in the future timeline. I guess at the end of the day, it's always a shame when an artist goes, long run or not, and hearing scrap stuff, lost demos, or just finished tracks afterwards is always a treat, but still a little stingy. Bittersweet in a sense, you know? I guess for me, it's hard to look past the business side of it all, because I know these big dogs are definitely not doing it for the art of the music. But hey, what are you gonna do? So what do you guys think? Do you like and listen to posthumous stuff? And what do you think about it in general? Leave a comment, I'd love to know. And leave a like on this video too if you enjoyed it. I think one of the first posthumous songs I ever heard was from Tupac. Not surprising. I think it was Until the End of Time. My brother showed it to me, and I thought it was the craziest thing. I remember putting it on my PSP and listening to it on car rides home. It's a shame, but what can you do? I guess I'll just have to buy my ticket to the next Tupac hologram concert. See ya!